Hey y'all, Hurdled here, and today we're talking about something a little bit different. I wanted to talk about World of Warcraft, the Battle for Azeroth, and whether or not it was worth going back home to that. It's something that I've just started getting back into. I'm not going to lie, actually, since I started playing Urel in Heroes, it really got me interested, and I wanted to kind of see how WoW is doing. Plus, I'm not going to lie, the promotions and all the marketing really kind of hooked me in. That opening cinematic that they released as a teaser, just simply amazing. I loved it. Let's talk about whether or not it's worth it, and I'm going to start off with a little background on myself. I've been a WoW player since vanilla. I played through Burning Crusade, I played through Wrath, I played through Cataclysm. Cataclysm was probably my most serious expansion. I leveled every class up to max and had a great time. And then when Pandaria dropped, I kind of did too. I didn't really enjoy it. I felt like the Panda theme was just not a direction I wanted to go, to use that corporate speak. I just didn't really enjoy it. So I didn't play it. I completely skipped Warlords of Draenor. I'd heard all kinds of mixed results about it, and I didn't really want to get into it. And then when they dropped Legion, I'd heard so many good things. I finally decided, hey, give it a chance. I bought it, resubscribed for a couple of months, got up to 110 on a character, tried out the Demon Hunter, had some fun, and then I realized I'm not really playing this to play it anymore. It's just like, oh, I gotta log on and do dailies. I quit the grind and started playing other games that I wanted to play. That's kind of giving you a background on where I'm coming from as a player. So, serious up to Kata. I think that's probably a lot of people, which is why I decided to make this video. I know that I'm not unique in that. Let's talk about why we're actually here today, and that is Battle for Azeroth a worthwhile expansion? Is it a worthwhile pre-order? Does it make it fun to come back to the game for people like me who haven't played in a long time? Is it worth it to level up those alts? Is it worth it to check out the allied races? Is world PvP a thing? And is it like it used to be, or is it better? I'd say overall, I love the direction that WoW is headed with this expansion. It's really putting the battle between the Horde and the Alliance back into the forefront, which I think is something that it's needed. I mean, it's all cool to fight demons because it's also been kind of integral to the lore, kind of that mix of demonic energy and everything. I mean, it's the whole reason the Horde invaded, but it's nice to see the clash between two vastly different cultures, two worlds, kind of hitting each other and trying to figure out what their place is in this new world, because the orcs can't go back. There is no home to return to, really. I'm hoping there's some resolution to that in this. I like the leveling so far, and I've got characters at a couple different levels that I'm trying out. It's pretty cool. I'd say, like, it's definitely harder to kill things, and you will fight a lot harder. You'll basically have to use more of your abilities to not die, which is pretty important. Especially like the lower level zones and everything. I really like how you can level in the same zone and you're not going to level out in like 5, 6, 10 levels. Because if you do a couple of dungeons in old WoW and like a quarter of the quest, you're done with the zone. You can't finish it because you've out-leveled everything, you don't get experience anymore. They changed it so that most of the zones are level capped much higher at like 60 for vanilla content. Some you have to be 40 to get into, but then it goes up to 60. The starting zones are all up to level 20. So it's a nice change overall. I think that if you want to level in a certain zone, you can completely do every quest in that zone and you will have a great time, which is awesome because it lets me play some of the zones I really like Plaguelands and Duskwood, and it lets me avoid zones that I really hate. And I'm thinking right here of Swamp of Sorrows and Blasted Lands. I'm sorry if those are your favorites, but you're just wrong. They're terrible zones. I hate them. Let's talk about the other thing. World PvP. Is it worth it? What's it like? Oh man, I came up mostly playing on PvE servers, but I did have a lot of friends who would play PvP. And they're like, come join us, man, it's gonna be so much fun. And my experience there was the same as my experience here. You basically just get ganked a lot while you're questing, which can be fun, I guess, if you like getting stomped by a skull level Horde player. Or Alliance, I'm in. But I'm mainly playing Alliance in this expansion so far. Sorry, Horde players, I know you're gonna probably click off right now, but it's fun, it's interesting, definitely, because you have to go enable world PvP. There's no more PvP servers. It's gone, it's out the window. You can't do that anymore. Instead, you choose to enable PvP mode, war mode, or whatever from your talent screen, and it lets you turn it into a PvP server for you and anyone else who has that enabled. What this practically leads to is a lot of creeping, at least in lower zones. But I can't wait to get to some of the higher zones with like my lower level alts, where it's like a mixed Horde and Alliance presence, like Daenerys, for instance, a perfect example, where you run into each other and have like actually fairly decent fights. So far it's pretty good, and they incentivize you to do this by giving you a 2% boost for kills and quests, which is pretty great. I think it helps push you into the spirit of the battle for Azeroth. That kind of PvP focused, hey, this is about the Horde fighting the Alliance, not us teaming up together to fight Kill Jaden or Sargeras or freaking Kael'thas or any of that. Like, we're finally going head to head, and they want to encourage that again. I think that's the right way to do it. Incentivize people, like, make me want to turn on PvP mode. Give me a bonus for it, as opposed to just like, well, I mean, you can do it, and you're not going to get anything extra for it, except to maybe kill some Horde players and get stumped by a bunch of high levels. I think that's a good way to do it. I think that War mode is a good addition, and it's totally optional. If you don't want to do it, just don't do it. It's perfect. Dungeons and leveling, a little bit different now. At least at lower levels, I've noticed that things are harder in dungeons. Like, you can't just face roll, pull half the instance, throw up Consecrate, and then you're done. You do less damage, enemies take longer to kill, and they hit harder. So even your heirlooms are not going to save you from basically having to learn how to tank, having to learn how to heal, having to learn how to DPS effectively. And Hunters, please turn off your growl. We're like 12 years in or something. Just, you'd think they'd learn, but they never do. So, oh man, oh god, it can be fun. I enjoy it for the most part. I like the looting system where you pretty much, there's no rolling on loot. Everybody just gets like their own separate loot table. You either get something from the boss or you don't. You're not competing against anybody, you're competing against the system for loot. There are times when it slows down a lot, like going through most of the boss fights are not hard. You have to know the mechanics, but if you're a returning player, you do. And you're going to be a little bored just tanking, you know, or even healing, kind of just, alright, put up Consecrate, hit that Hammer of the Righteous, get my shield. So I recommend, if you got 2 screens, use one to put on Netflix, put Netflix on your phone, you know, just do something to kind of keep yourself otherwise occupied. But it's fun, it's worth it, it's just, you know, it's kind of a grind sometimes. And lastly, let's talk about the allied races. Are they worth it? Should you pre-order just for them? To be honest, I'm still working on unlocking mine, and there is a quest to unlock them. You have to get friendly with all the factions in Legion and go through a quest chain, so I'm still leveling up that faction level, because I never really went through and got friendly with all these factions. If you're coming back solely for them and you got a 110, like I said, it's not hard. You just go through this quest chain, but it's going to take some time, so be prepared for that. And you can't unlock them without the pre-purchase. So if that's all you care about, you're like, I got to have that Lightforged Draenei Paladin. I'm not weird. Okay, that's totally why I'm doing it, but it's not weird. There are lots of other people who are doing this. I don't have a problem. I know I'll do another video and update you guys on like kind of the process and whether it takes too long or it's worth it. Seems to be pretty straightforward though, and not bad. Like I said, if that's like you just got to have Void Elf, then you have pre-purchasing and do that. It's not like a month-long quest. But other than that, if you don't really care, don't worry about it. So overall, let's talk about what my take is on the pre-patch and the state of WoW today as a returning player like myself. Should you resub? Should you check it out? Should you pre-order? I would say yes, resub. You know, as long as your money's not super tight. I think the pre-order is worth it just to kind of experience all that stuff, the allied races and stuff. But you're not going to get a whole lot for the pre-order beyond that you can't get just from resubscribing and playing your characters normally. I say check it out. Definitely worth a resubscription at this point if you liked kind of the vanilla feel, if you liked the Burning Crusade feel, but if you felt like things got a little too easy in the leveling game, they've changed that. If you felt like World PvP kind of sucked, they're working on changing that, and there's more bonuses for it now. Actual PvP is a little different, a little bit better. You have like PvP talents now that only are useful in PvP situations, which is cool. It seems a little bit easier to get gear for PvP, which is a lot of fun. Feels like they're really trying to reignite that spark of tension between the Horde and the Alliance. We're not working together anymore, like they're at each other's throats, and I love that. I love that feeling. Because I mean, that's original Warcraft right there. That's what the first game was about. The second game, the third game, it's all about fighting each other. Which it's Warcraft, that's the point, right? And there are some bugs they're working out. They did like this huge stat squish, so your numbers are smaller, but everything else is supposed to stay the same. It didn't. I haven't noticed it to be game killing for me. Your mileage may vary on that. I enjoyed it for the most part. Like I said, if you're like an OG WoW player, it's going to feel really familiar, and the stat squish isn't going to be like, oh, they've ruined it for me. It's going to be like, this feels a lot like vanilla NPC, but with all of the improvements that have been made up to now. You know, I can't speak for in-game content, whether or not that's been changed. Like I said, I haven't been into Legion, so I can't speak to the in-game. Like I said, this is more for people who are coming back from a long absence. Is Battle for Azeroth worth it? You know, are those cutscenes doing it justice? I think so far, yes. I'm super excited to see what the expansion holds. I already got my pre-order in, like I'm resubbed. You know, I want to see what this war is going to turn into. I want to see where this goes. So this is like the first expansion I'm actually really excited about since Cataclysm. I hope that this was useful for you, that you kind of got something out of this. As always, I really appreciate you tuning in and spending your time with me, because you certainly don't have to. It means a lot to me that people tune in and watch what I do. So if you enjoyed it, if you liked it, leave me a like. If you want to see what else I'm coming out with every week, I got a new video at least once a week. Just hit the subscribe button and turn on notifications, and I'll be happy to be here waiting for you to come back. But until then, I want to thank you again so much for watching. I hope that this guide helped you figure out, is Battle of Azeroth worth it for you? Personally, I think if you're a classic WoW fan, up to Wrath Cattle like me, do it. Try it out. Come back for 1 month resub and see how you feel about it. I recommend it. Until next time, I am Hurdled. This is my channel, and I thank you for spending your time here with me and coming and sharing your afternoon, evening, whatever with me. So I will see you next time.